We're going to look at the Zizerain video about Path of Exile 1 and 2.
Hi, Zizerain here with another video straight from ExileCon, and today we're going to go over all the announcements step by step, all the PoE 2 announcements, and we'll have a separate video for the upcoming PoE 1 league. Obviously, we don't have the patch notes and stuff for that yet. There's a lot of cool stuff here, so they blew everyone's expectations away.
Path of Exile 1 and 2 will be separate, with their own mechanics, balance, endgames, and leagues.
And there's a lot more than we could have ever imagined. I was not expecting that they would split the game. I
wasn't either. I was really surprised that they did that. I thought that they were going to just transition. It was going to be like Overwatch 2, where like the game just transitions into this. I'll be very curious to see how, like, you know, a year into PoE 2 and PoE 1 running simultaneously, I kind of worry that, you know, there's going to be like concerns, right? People are, oh, this game's getting more attention, that game's getting more attention. I'm very concerned about this. I think it's a big risk.
Don't know how I feel about that. Honestly, professionally...
There's different teams? Yeah, but there's different teams, but there's this... I'm not talking about how the content is, because the perception is more important than reality.
This is a very good thing for me. But other than that, I don't know how I feel about it. I obviously, objectively, it's a very good thing for me, right? Because there will be less downtime between leagues. And that is the main takeaway here, because that's a big issue.
ARPG players are eating good. Bro, ARPG YouTubers are popping the fuck off. Because now, like, you had Lost Ark, so you have an MMO ARPG. You have Diablo 4, so you have a mainstream ARPG. You have PoE, you have like a massive depth ARPG. And now you're having PoE 2, a massive depth ARPG that's going to be probably larger mainstream. And you've got another dark horse, which is Last Epoch, which is like, and go back literally a year ago, and all you had was PoE. It's actually crazy how much things have changed.
Main game is that, well, they're kind of forced to play other games, right? Because you will run out of things to do as a veteran player and like someone like me. And now we're going to have that as less of a problem because there's going to be 6 weeks between PoEs and constant things happening, right? Well, there'll be more than 6 weeks, but there'll be way less of a gap now. So they will have separate balance, separate release, separate leagues, content, and offset releases. So you can go from PoE 1 to PoE 2 to PoE 1. You'll throw in some D4 and other games that you want to play, like Tarkov, RuneScape for me, etc. And all purchases carry over to both versions. Now, they did mention, obviously, there are some things like the Druid, right? If you buy a Druid cosmetics, like maybe you can turn into Polar Bear instead of a Grizzly Bear, then that will not be available in PoE 1 because we don't have shapeshifting there. And we have 6 new classes in PoE.
Look at that fucking bird, bro. That's a good looking bird.
The Warrior, the Huntress, the Sorceress, the Mercenary, the Monk, and the Druid. And there were so many things they just kept blasting us with. 1,500 new passive skills, a new campaign with over 60 bosses. There's going to be so much endgame stuff coming out of that too, right? That they can reuse.
Yeah,
full new campaign, more difficult than before. It was a lot more difficult than before. I did get to try it. I have a video of me playing it up.
Yeah, I hear that the PoE 2 is going to be basically like Ruthless. Which is like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to go and make an opinion about this because I haven't played it yet. And it's literally over a year out from release. So, like, this is the way I look at it, right? I trust grinding gear games to make a good game. And I also trust that in the times whenever they make mistakes, they will listen to the community and adapt from those mistakes. So I'm not worried about what I see here in any way because I have faith in them to make the right decisions. I
tried to be better with the overlay than last time, and it was crazy hard. Now, they have said it's overtuned, so it should be easier, but whew, 36 new ascendancies, so that's crazy. Absolutely crazy. 6 persons.
Yeah, for example, like apparently you need to use healing wells or something like that to replenish your flasks.
Co-op like PoE 1. Dodge roll by pressing the spacebar. I don't know what that means for movement abilities, or maybe you can like enhance your dodge roll to be like flame dash, etc. Eventually, I really don't know what they're going to do with that. But there's no cooldowns, no limitations, and
well, and like also, I think that that's a good thing, because how do you play PoE right now? Well, now you have instilling flasks, right? Or instilling orbs. But like, you know, before it was like this, right? You're just hitting your flasks over and over. You're piano flasking. Yeah. All the time. They're up constantly. There's no real gameplay. It's just like making sure that you have all of these things, and that's it. No Quicksilver? Did you know that? Yes, I did. I saw Empyrean's tweet.
Has pathfinding so it doesn't get stuck, but that was not in one of the videos, so they did actually get stuck. But I think that's a slightly older build, right, that they show off to make sure that it's fully functional. And yeah, the strength, dex, int thing is kind of gone from what I understand. It's strength and int for Druid and Templar, dex and int for Monk and Shadow. Yeah. They start in the same location. And there's Spirit as a new mana reservation mechanic. So you unlock Spirit by killing bosses and items, and that's how you reserve mana, like reserve auras. You don't have to like compete. You can have like unreserved mana and like, yeah. It's a pretty good idea, I think. I definitely like that.
Yeah, and it's again, like that is a direct response from if you see any build in PoE, unless it's an Archmage build, the entire mana bar is reserved except for this tiny little sliver, and then you have like cost reduction to make that little sliver mean a little bit more.
Gems drop uncut, and you right-click them and you choose what skill you want. I think that sounds like a really good idea as well. There's metagems as well, which is they can be modified to give seals different properties. So cast one, shock, etc. I managed to find Spell Echo, which was lucky, and I will try to do some more playthroughs tomorrow. So out of the new classes, you have Monk, very, very fast, based around a mobility, execute skills that ground power charges, so it's like culling, and the culling stuff is indicators as well. And there's skills that are dynamic, so kind of similar to like the Fisher skill we have for Chieftain, right? Or, well, Chieftain uses it a lot. But like way, way more than before. Now, it is definitely a slower game. Some people are saying it felt a bit more like Dark Souls, and it kind of does to some degree.
Every game that has rolling is Dark Souls.
So very different than what we're used to with PoE so far. I think this will make the most amount of people happy when you really think about it, because there are people that don't like PoE 1, and there's people that don't like the direction PoE 2 is going.
Yeah, I think that's really, Grinding Gear Games is in like kind of an interesting spot where they have a number of, in my opinion, degenerate gameplay mechanics in PoE 1. Like, for example, spam using flasks constantly all the time. So now you have to design the game with flask buffs being active all of the time. And then also, let's see, there's that. They had to change Labyrinth because people were just trading Labyrinth, the keys, right? For like the different like portals, like of searing fucking flesh and, you know, stinging pain, etc. It was like, what was it, like General 304 or something like that? So there was that. And let's see, I think there's something he just mentioned here. But basically, oh yeah, having all of your mana reserved. Like there are these weird things in PoE that just everybody does. And I think that they just effectively remove huge elements of content from the game completely.
A little bit worried about how the dev split's going to be. Like, are we getting two lesser quality games? Is obviously a big concern. And they've changed the way like crowd control works on bosses now. You can like freeze bosses a lot easier.
I would really like to have a stagger bar. Hopefully they add that.
So that's like poise. And I see Scry here in my notes. He was like, make fun of Mark for dying on the demo. L nerd, yeah. But I died like 3 or 5 times. It's so hard. I'm like very, very impressed that I made it so far, because that was a boss too. I didn't even get to a boss in my demo. Now, boss rushing that you used to in PoE 1 is gone. You gotta restart from the very start. So yeah, Scry here, put L, softcore nerds. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. And I've heard, I wasn't at one of the talks, I didn't listen, I was too busy playing the card game and trying to get the Mirror of Calandra. Apparently logout macro is gone as well in PoE 2, so that's gonna be very interesting. The game's gonna be built more around it. Or maybe they just meant that it's a full reset when you log out. I'm not sure if you like stay in the game. But either way, that sounds really cool. Obviously, there would be a bad thing if you stay in the game for 6 seconds and disconnect, because then you just die every time your PC actually crashes.
Yeah.
Thankfully, not a big problem for me, because I don't really have much instability or crashes, so not a huge problem there. But I really like the full reset. I think that's really cool. That's the way it should be. I think PoE...
Yeah, people shouldn't be able to use a logout macro as a... as like a reset for the fight without there being a cost to it. Like, I do think that logout macro, I would rather have people be able to cheese the game than the game cheese the player. So, like I've said this before, I think a logout macro is superior to what Diablo 4 does, which is letting people die to disconnects. I think that's garbage, and I would rather have a logout macro. But in that mindset, neither of these are perfect solutions.
One could add that too, like a full reset when you portal out or full reset when you log out. Sorceress as well as a caster weapons, no longer has an attack, and you know, nobody's using melee anyway, right?
Yeah.
So they come with a free spell to cast. Now the free spell was not very good, but maybe there will be things to build around there too. So we have Unleash. It's like a cooldown thing you can use. So like every 10-15 seconds you get to like shoot 3 spells. I got Spell Echo, so when I had Spell Echo and Unleash, as you can see, can I just throw that in combat? Wait, okay, how does this work? Am I going at 6 or 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah,
very decent. I do still think it should have more damage because the move's pretty hard to pull off because it has a long cast time. Now, they had a very cool feature with weapon swapping. Now, obviously, right now, we don't weapon swap because we want to level gems, and it's completely pointless. However, they made it very, very cool by the fact that your lightning skills can be set to use your lightning offhand, and there is some sort of like swap penalty, and that it felt a bit janky. Maybe it would just be nicer if they got rid of that and just favor swapping with no downside. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that pans out. But very cool feature. And it's automatic, so you set like your lightning skill uses that weapon and your cold skill uses that weapon, and it'll swap automatically.
It works the exact same as Barbarians in Diablo 4, which, I mean, to be fair, like the Barbarian weapon swap in Diablo 4 is perfect. Like Blizzard actually did it perfectly.
And the passive skills as well, like I think, was it 20 skill points that are flexible, so you can put 20 points into lightning on one skill tree and 20 on a cold another. Very cool. We're getting the closed beta, starts June 7th, 2024. So it's a while away. There's going to be quite a lot of PoE.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think a lot of people need to realize is that like the thing with PoE is that the beta, literally the beta is not even going to come out for a year. That's a long fucking time, man. So just chill. If there's something that you're not a huge fan of, I think it's important to, you know, let the developers know as soon as possible. Definitely a good idea. However, it is not even close to a finished product. Yeah, they have time to improve it, and I think that they will improve it.
Till then, I will be making content for both games.
Yeah.
I'm nervous how this kind of goes. It's going to be a lot to do. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Most people here at XLCon were pretty hyped. A lot of worries of gold is the main concern. I'm not a big fan of gold. I really... nearly every time when someone asks me what's my favorite part of PoE, I'm like, currency. It's such a cool system, and I love that.
I am a currency enjoyer. I am not a currency trading enjoyer. This might be a very unpopular opinion, might get me in trouble with a lot of the PoE fans, but I would be completely okay if there was a currency marketplace. But I do think that gear trading should stay the way it is. The reason why is because, let's be honest, guys, most people that you're trading currency with are bots. And it's annoying. Like, So, hi, I would like to buy your 1 Exalted Orb for my 140, or Divine Orb for my 147 Chaos in, you know, Crucible Softcore League. Please respond. Hi, I would like to buy your 1 Divine Orb for my 154 Chaos Orb in Crucible League. Please respond. Hi, I would like to buy your 1 Divine Orb for my 155 Chaos Orb in Crucible League. Please respond. And it's insane. It really, like, I mean, it really sucks. It sucks to trade currency in the game. Especially whenever you're trading low-value currency. I think Chris will die on this hill. Then I'll respect his decision and probably continue playing the game. But I'm just saying that I think it would be an improvement.
Having gold. So very worried about that. But, you know, worst case scenario, if I really hate PoE 2, I already know I love PoE 1. And that's been going in a pretty good direction lately, especially with Sanctum coming back core. But I'll make a separate video talking about that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Sub if you liked the video. But more importantly, try to die less than I do. It's like a little bit of a delay on the skills as well.
Ooh, what was that affix that he had?
It's like a
oh, wow. They didn't even have an affix. Oh, look at that.
A little bit of a delay on the skills as well. I died twice.
Jesus.
And it's not even a hard boss.
There was poison there, too.
We haven't even gotten to a hard boss. Oh, that was
Holy
unideal.
Shit. They should add some form of auction house for and by the way, I want to say again, only currency. Only currency. I think that the current form of gear trading is brilliant, and I love it. I only think that there should be a marketplace for currency. And the only reason is because, like, again, an idea for trading currency is cool, but I just feel like the idea has been co-opted by bots, and it's just so functionally different than what it was intended for because of the way that players have adapted to the design, that it is now kind of shitty.
Right, we'll just run through.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be really curious. Really curious to see what happens with PoE 2 and PoE running simultaneously. This is Zizrain video. Apparently, he had like a seizure or something like that today. So, you know, hearts in chat for him. Make sure to give the video a like. This guy's a great resource for PoE, and he also makes some Diablo 4 videos as well. So totally support him. Make sure to give him a sub, give him a like, etc. What do you think about currency conversion at the vendor? I think currency conversion, like, what is it, 8 chaos for 20 chisels? I mean, like, I just feel like it's not, like, the conversion rate isn't very good. That's the issue. Gold and currency is only solo self-found. Gold, well, my understanding about gold is that gold is just used to buy items from vendors, right? In PoE 2? Isn't that correct? Yeah, so, like, who gives a fuck? Yeah, I actually think that it's a great system. And this is why I think that it's a great system. Is because it allows players to, instead of, like, putting them straight into the deep end of the PoE economy, it allows them to gradually move into it by giving them a currency that they're used to with vendors, because new players interact with vendors the most, probably, right? So it gives new players a way to understand the game without being completely dropped into a complete new environment. So I think it's actually a good decision. Now, we're going to have to see how it plays next year, but currently I'm positive about it. They replaced the crafting bench for gold for leveling, which I'm not a huge fan of. We'll see what happens in a year. I don't know enough about that today. You're just stalling their learning process? You're just stalling their learning process? Yes, you are. And I think I think that you're stalling their learning process, but you're allowing it to occur. Because I think that a number of players will be put off by it, or the game will be too over. How many people do you think have started playing PoE and they open up the talent tree and they're like, and then they stop playing the game because they're overwhelmed? So I think that it's really important to provide players with an amount of information that's processable and that is understandable, and it doesn't just completely overwhelm them immediately. And that's why I think that I'd really like if they changed that. So it's better to allow people to gradually get into the content. Like, for example, I've said this about WoW too, that, like, one of the good things about classic WoW is that everybody starts at level 1. You can't have level boosts, because that way, like, have you ever boosted a WoW character, a character in WoW or Final Fantasy or something like that, and you get the character to max level and you have no idea what you're doing and you end up not enjoying the class? You guys ever had that happen? Yeah. I have. And I think that, like, what happens is, like, because you're overwhelmed with a bunch of new stuff and you don't know how it's supposed to work together, and now you have to learn everything right now all at the same time, and you're supposed to be at max level. I want pre-built paths. Pre-built paths. I do think that there should be a way. So this might be I don't know how the developers feel about this, but I think that every single time that a player has to tab out and use a third-party resource in order to find something out about the game, I think that's a failure of the game. Like, and what I mean is, like, the legibility. I'm not talking about learning, like, what Cirrus does and, like, what patterns he does, but I'm talking about, like, learning, like, what an ability does, or learning how to spec a character, etc. Things should be intuitive, and players should not be led into traps. I think that every time that a game provides a trap for a new player, it does a disservice to that player.